Am I the a-hole for refusing to speak to my mom after 35 years of no contact now that she's old? Okay, so I, 56 female, have been total no contact with my mother for 35 years because she married 8 times, had 6 kids, all different fathers, and parentified me since I was 10. She allowed violations to happen to all 3 of us girls, and actually told me to shut up, he didn't hurt you, when she walked in and saw it happening to me. She lied about who my father was, and I didn't find out until I was 50 and did one of those DNA tests. I am the only child that went to college and made a life for myself. The others are druggies. So, I got a Facebook message from her oldest one, the one that did a crime she saw, saying I need to pitch in to take care of her, since she's not doing well. So, my anxiety is off the charts. I need to say that they all live in the Southwest and I live on the East Coast. I replied that if he contacted me again, I would call the police. Now the sisters are trying to get me to take her in as you have a big place and money. I haven't spoken to my siblings in over a decade. I told them that they had no idea what is going on in my life, so kick rocks. So am I the a-hole for continuing my no contact with them all? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Just read the title and I'm already at nope. And now that I read half of it, hell to the no. Block everyone, move, change your name, dye your hair, consider plastic surgery, and never ever do a publicly available DNA test. So you already did a DNA test. Your best bet is a pack of angry Jack Russell Terriers guarding the perimeter of your home. OMG, you made me laugh so hard. Thank you. I have vicious Yorkies and lots of pew-pews. Not a-hole. That sounds awful. I'm so sorry. You don't owe them anything. It sounds like you know that intellectually, but it's getting to you emotionally, which makes total sense. I would suggest not only blocking them, but maybe talking to a counselor and getting some extra support. Hearing from them sounds like it's bringing up old trauma. Having some extra support can help you stay strong and stay in no contact when they try to guilt you, as you know they will, and hopefully will also give you longer-term peace. I wish you the best. Thank you. I have been in therapy for a number of years. I moved across the country 7 years ago because I couldn't get the siblings to respect boundaries. Best thing I ever did. I haven't let myself make friends here yet, but maybe soon. Thanks again. I'm so sorry your family sucks. Good for you for putting physical distance between you all. Please, please do not feel guilty. Your feelings are pangs of hurt over what you never had. Feel them, remember the loss of your childhood and bio family, and move on without guilt. We Reddit strangers totally support you. Your mental health is so important. Not the a-hole. Why were they not all blocked? Hadn't heard from any of them in 10 years because I had blocked them. But some idiot showed them how to make new accounts because none of them are smart enough to do it on their own. Lol. Not the a-hole. My partner comes from an insanely abusive and toxic family, his mother being the root of all evil. He once told his therapist that he feels bad for not talking to her because she's getting old. His therapist asked him if he thought her aging erased all that she had done. Obviously it had not. He said just because someone is old doesn't mean they automatically become a better person or regret all the damage they had done. It just means they're old. Just keep blocking. You don't owe any of them anything. Now for the mini update. Okay folks, hope this is the way to update. I decided to do what like 100% of what y'all said. I sent a group email to the lot of them, telling them that I would not be engaging in their theatrics. They could figure out what to do with Mommy Dearest, and I will not be a part of their solution. I said I will be blocking all of them, and if they contacted me in any way, shape, or form, law enforcement would be contacted. Then just for good measure, I told them all to buzz all the way off, and have the day you deserve. Thanks everyone for reaffirming what I knew was right. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to cater for my sister's wedding after she ghosted me for 5 years? I'm male 33, I'm a professional chef, and own a successful upscale restaurant in my city. My younger sister, female 29, and I used to be best of friends, until 5 years back when we had a falling out over a minor issue. She lent a prized book of mine to her friend without asking me, and it came back in a state of disrepair. The disagreement spiraled into a fight and she cut me off completely, refusing to communicate with me despite my numerous attempts to apologize and fix things. 3 weeks back, out of nowhere, I received a call from her. My joy was short-lived when she quickly got to her point. She was getting married and wanted me to cater her wedding, for free. Moreover, her request was not merely to provide a main course, but also specialized gourmet meal options for her cosmopolitan guest list. A task that involves a lot of work and money. I've felt a pang of hurt. It felt incredibly selfish and hurtful that after 5 years of silence, she contacted me for a favor, an expensive one at that. Hence, I declined, telling her that while I was happy about her upcoming nuptials, it was unfair of her to expect me to invest so much of my time, resources, and expertise for free, especially after the way she treated me. Now my parents are upset with me, saying that it's been long and I should have forgiven her. They think I'm being vengeful and using this opportunity to get back at her. But honestly, I'm just deeply hurt. Am I the a-hole here? Not the a-hole. She didn't call to make amends. She hasn't apologized. She called for expensive freebies. If she wanted to make amends, she would have apologized and offered to pay for what she was requesting. Remind your parents that this isn't you getting back at her, but refusing to pay X out of pocket for someone who is now a stranger. Mom and Dad are on your case because they don't want to get stuck with a catering bill. Hold firm. Nowhere in there does OP say that he's even actually invited to the wedding. Sis definitely sounds like the kind of a-hole who would tell him that he's there as a caterer, not a guest. If you're catering it, you basically can't attend. Maybe toward the end of the reception, when the rest of the staff is only doing cleanup. But the amount of prep beforehand probably rules out both the wedding and most of the reception. Thanks, I really appreciate this answer. Thinking about the next steps. Might try talking to my parents and sister. If you happen to make it to that wedding, apologize to her partner for me, because your sister sounds like an entitled nightmare. She didn't even try to sugarcoat the request, and on top of that is actively trying to take advantage of you and your success. This request goes beyond forgive and forget. I could understand if the agreement was to pay for the cost of ingredients and utilities, and maybe excluding your time. But to suggest what is probably hundreds of dollars, if not thousands, is simply outrageous. Imagine if you did this for free. I'd bet just about anything to say, she immediately goes back to radio silence. You are not the a-hole. Stay strong and hold on, OP. Don't give in and stick to your guns. Good luck. She didn't even try to sugarcoat the request. Yes, because in her head, she is kind of doing the first move and giving him the opportunity to apologize by doing this. That's how entitled people work. Not the a-hole. Not sure how her destroying your prized book makes you the bad guy, but the fact she thought she would guilt you into doing this for free is hilarious. Tell your parents you will do it if they pay you for it. Full price now, no discount. If they agree, then go ahead and do it. Otherwise, do not feel bad at all. Also would not go to the wedding. And the payment before the wedding. If you let it after, I bet they will not pay you. I wouldn't even allow her in the restaurant or her party. She'll probably destroy something else. I'm sorry that she's using you, but I wouldn't help her. And tell your parents to mind their business. They're not the ones having to shell out the cost, and the only reason they're pushing for it, so they can get it for free. Next story. Am I the a-hole for saying I am not an aunt? I, 30 female, have no contact with my older brother, 34 male, or his wife, 28 female, and have not done for over a year. For around 3 years prior to that, our relationship was only upsetting. No matter what I did or said, his wife would claim I was behaving rudely or maliciously, and would scream and cry until I apologized. My brother, her parents, and her brother contacted me over the years to explain this was how she related to girls. Screaming and crying and reconciling afterwards was her way to be close to girls, and I was urged many times to play along and accept this about her, because over time we would become close from it. But it got to the point where it was unbearable. Every message and interaction with her is exhausting, and she delighted in putting me down in front of other people. My brother absolutely enabled this and made everything worse. In fact, the final straw was him secretly recording a conversation we had where he asked me some deeply personal questions. At the time, I thought he was trying to be vulnerable together to mend our relationship, and I caught him playing the recording to her as they both laughed at me. I got a job opportunity far away and jumped at it, making going no contact suddenly much easier, and have not spoken to either of them since. They have also not tried to contact me since I moved. They recently had a child, something I only know about because my mom told me, and she has begun pestering me to visit them and send gifts/messages. I have tried to say no thank you, and even explained if they reached out, I would respond, but I am not interested in initiating contact. But every conversation I have with her now begins and ends with, "You are an aunt now. You need to act like it," or some variation. So today I said, I am not an aunt. I am not in this baby's life in any way, and she was really upset with me. She asked me if I was rejecting her grandchild, which of course I am not. She is welcome to have a relationship with whoever she wants and be as involved as she wants. But I am not in this baby's life, as an aunt or otherwise, and I don't see that changing in the future, honestly. The conversation only soured from there, with her insisting that if I refuse to accept I am an aunt, then I am claiming she is not a grandmother. She's now not speaking to me and insists I'm being unnecessarily hurtful and creating sadness in a time that should be happy. I really don't think of myself as an aunt at all, but I'm now wondering if it was cruel to voice that thought. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. You are not the a-hole, but you might need to consider going no contact with your mother as well. It seems like it's not only your brother enabling your sister-in-law's weird behavior, but also your own mother. What has your father to say about all this? Do you have any other siblings? I have 2 other younger brothers who both think she is nutty, but she adores them, so they have a civil relationship. She constantly makes posts about how she loves them and calls them little/big brother, never their names. The only time she got upset with them directly, as far as I know, was when they refused to call her big sister in return. But about a week later, she acted like nothing had happened and never brought it up again. Her own brother told me she just knows how to be close to boys better than girls, and that is why she gets on well with them. I have never asked them to get involved, but my youngest brother has had arguments with our oldest one over her behavior a few times. It just never goes anywhere. But he does not speak to her directly anymore, just through my brother, and only sees her at family functions because of how she treats me. He has, however, gone to visit the baby, and it was the first time he went to their house. My parents are divorced, but my dad is on my side. He was the one who told me to cut them both out of my life. He actually took them out for a meal and discussion over it, right before I left, to get a feel of the situation and see how we could fix everything. But he told me afterwards there was nothing to be done, because they seemed to enjoy the whole situation. He said to him, it seems they like having an outside person to blame things on, and I was just unlucky to be chosen for that role. Oh wow, this is just so messed up. Sorry to say it, but this is truly good riddance. But looking at this, it might be that your older brother and sister-in-law are pressuring your mother into making you come to see the baby by restricting her access to the baby. I can't see a different explanation for her being so desperately connecting you not wanting to be an aunt to her being a grandmother. It's good that you are not completely alone and still have your father and younger brothers as support in this matter. I hope your bond with them will stay strong and wish you the best for the future. Stay strong. I actually did not consider that she was being pressured by them in some way. I always assumed they never spoke about me at all, so thank you for that perspective. If it is true and they are holding her time with the baby at ransom until I comply, then I can understand why my comments upset her so much. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not entering a queue for the 2nd time when my girlfriend gave her food away to a homeless man? I, 24 male, was out with my girlfriend, 25 female tonight, and we were in the city center. It was crowded, and the queues for everything were extremely long. There was a food truck that sold tacos that she really wanted to try. The queue is very long, and she gets tired quickly, so she sat on a bench while I waited for in line to get her tacos. After about 30 minutes of standing in line, I got her tacos and we started walking to a nearby restaurant to get myself some dinner too, before we head home. On the way, there was a homeless man sitting down in the street, and before I know it, she diverted towards him to hand him her food. I thought that was quite sweet actually, and we continued walking, until she asked if we could go back and get more tacos, because she actually really wanted them, and didn't want food from where I was getting mine. I said the line is even longer now than when we left it, and I can't just stand in line for over 30 minutes again. I said she can pick a restaurant and we'll go get food there, but she insisted that she had those tacos in her mind all week, and she really wants them. I said the line was even longer by the time we left, and it wouldn't make sense for us to go back, and for me to stand there all over again for those tacos. She said she'll compromise and stand there till she gets tired, then we can switch, which would have been maybe 10 minutes. I said I'm already tired and fed up because of the extremely long day I had, and I would really appreciate if she doesn't push this and we can get them next weekend. She said, I didn't ask you to go to war, you know. All you have to do is stand there. So I said, if it's nothing, you won't need me for it, and you can stand in line yourself. She didn't say a word to me the whole way home. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You stood in line once. While her thought in reaching out and offering her food was kind, that doesn't give her an expectation of you standing in the line again. She should maybe look at it as her own sacrifice for helping someone who was hungry. This right here, she didn't really think that through. It's highly inappropriate that she asked him to get her more tacos after she gave hers away. Yeah, this kind of feels like someone donating money to a charity but using their daddy's credit card to pay. Sometimes I wonder if people type out a whole story of something they think is about themselves. I don't see all the underlying red flags about their significant other's character they revealed. Not the a-hole. She could have stood in the line herself or picked something else. Yeah, she can stand in the line again while Opie gets his food, and they'll maybe be done at relatively the same time. I suggested this actually, but she said she physically cannot stand for that entire time on her own, and she'll need to sit after a while, so I need to be there. Not the a-hole. You don't get to inconvenience other people for your good deed. Thank you. I've been in this situation before, and it sucks. I even started to question my acquaintance with that person because they got me in this situation far more often than I'd prefer. And the worst thing is, I started to believe I was a bad person for not helping someone help someone else. Am I the a-hole for not helping my sister reconnect with her son, telling her that she abandoned him 20 years ago? When my 40 female sister of 43 was 23, she got pregnant with my son to a deadbeat that left her after we found out she was pregnant. The moment I held him in my arms, I fell in love with him. My sister, however, was indifferent to him. In the beginning, my parents said she was going through PPD. But as time went on, it became obvious that she wasn't, and she just didn't want to be a mother. She asked my parents to take him, but due to our dad's health at the time, they couldn't. She threatened to put him in the system, so I said I would take him. Once he was legally mine, my sister went low contact with us and moved to another country. Over the years when she did contact us, she never once asked how my son was doing. My son knows the truth about me not being his biological mother. I never hid it from him. My sister recently returned home. She showed up at my house, and we had a good catch-up. And then she asked how my son was doing, and I told her he was doing good at school. She asked for his number, and I said I will have to ask him if it was okay, since he's particular with who has his personal number. She got upset with me and told me she was his mother. I said a mother that abandoned him 20 years ago. I kicked her out after she started screaming at me. I rang my son and told him what happened. He asked for a number, so I gave it. He told her to get lost, and that it wants nothing to do with her. She went to social media and posted how I stole her son and turned him against her. I got backlash from my family, but I don't care what they have to say about me. I do care how my son is getting heat from them as well, and making me think I shouldn't have said that to her. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, and you're exactly right. You should never give out your son's personal info to anyone without his consent. And she did abandon him. She doesn't get to waltz back in to try and play happy family now, unless your son wants that. It's okay to give a child up for adoption, but you don't get to turn around and say they stole your child from you and get your flying monkeys to attack them. Your family sounds like a toxic mess. I would block them all. Next time someone comments, OP should bring out the how dare yous. How dare you try to intercede on behalf of the woman who abandoned her child? How dare you criticize that child for not wanting to pretend sister is his mother? How dare sister claim to be the child's mother? Keep going with both barrels until the other person shrunk to about the size of a penny. Where was she when he needed his diaper changed? Took his first steps. First day of school, admitted to his first crush. Had his first heartbreak. Moved out of the home and out into the world. All those birthdays. How many did she actually say happy birthday for? Holidays. The good times and the bad? Being a mother isn't just a section on a birth certificate. It's the experience of raising someone through thick and thin. Not the a-hole. She doesn't get to play the mom card when she abandoned him. I'm not going to say that there aren't good reasons sometimes that a parent isn't suited to raise a child, having them too young, having drug issues, etc. But if that happens, they have to earn their way back into the child's life. She should be down on the floor begging you and her son to join his life. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not making my daughter give up her room to my stepdaughter and grandchild? I, 37 male, have been married to my wife, Sadie, 37, for 4 years. I have a daughter, Chloe, of my own from my previous marriage, age 9. Sadie has a daughter, Ace, 19, from an ex. Ace hasn't really been in our lives often, as she lived with her grandparents her whole life because the state took her from Sadie when Ace was 7. We still saw her on holidays and try to reach out. Ace was living out of state with her boyfriend, but he was recently arrested. So she asked if she and her baby could move in with us, as she needed help getting back on her feet. My wife and I spoke about it and agreed. When I brought up the extra bedroom in the attic, which is an area in the attic we made into a spare room for guests many years ago and no one uses the attic anyways, my wife became upset, gasped even, and said she was not making her daughter with a 5-month-old baby sleep in a dirty attic. I said obviously we would clean and prepare it, and where else did she suggest she sleep? Which is when she told me Chloe's bedroom would be perfect. Chloe's bedroom is very large and across the hall from the bathroom, which Sadie said was perfect. I told her Chloe would not be giving up her bedroom she'd been living in since before I even met her. She got upset and started to plead and said that this could make up for the year's loss and proved she really loved her and that she was wanted. I basically told her no, she could prove that another way, that we wouldn't give up the bedroom. She got angry and said a 9-year-old does not need all that space, and I was picking favorites and not even thinking of the bigger picture. Ace would need more room. It'd be hard for her to go up and down the stairs with a baby, etc. I stuck to my answer and my wife slammed the door and went for a drive. Today she tried convincing me again and wouldn't give in, and we got into another argument. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole at all. You most definitely should not displace your daughter from her bedroom to make room for Ace. Having a 19-year-old stranger and her baby move in is going to be more than enough of a change for your daughter. Your wife can find some other way to make up for the year of loss without kicking your daughter out of her bedroom. Sadie has already proven that Ace is wanted by taking in her and her baby. As for the stairs, women safely carry babies/children up and down stairs every day. Info: do you know why Ace was removed from Sadie's care? She was deemed unfit. She had drug and alcohol problems. And you, a person with a young daughter, thought it was a good idea to marry someone who not only had their own child taken away, but never earned that child back? She clearly doesn't care about her stepdaughter, ready to throw her out of the only bedroom she's known. She's not a good mom to anyone. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Your wife is trying to make it up to her daughter by penalizing yours. The fact that a dirty attic isn't good enough for her child but is good enough for yours is atrocious. I'm going to be mean here. Sadie was a young mother, but Sadie had a state take her child when she was in her mid-20s. I know there's a lot of stories of unfairness, but they do not take a child away from their adult parent for no reason. At best, she's been an absent mother. I know she's tried to reach out, but she doesn't have a parental relationship with Ace. Staying strong here is important, not just because it's not fair, but because Sadie has already destroyed one parent-child relationship. Now she's going to destroy 2 more, hers and yours with Chloe, to try and salvage the ruined one. Ace is now also a young mother. She needs support, the support that I'm guessing Sadie didn't get. Ace has had a tough draw growing up, but she's also made some poor decisions, and it's great that the 2 of you are going to support her. But she gets the support that is available. I'm not blaming her for any of this. This is all on Sadie. Chloe's room is not an available resource. You'll spend money and time and effort helping her. Chloe's going to go through a massive upheaval, bringing 2 new humans into her home, both strangers, one an infant. Having some stability and privacy is key. She needs that room, possibly more than Ace does. You need to find out what Sadie's promising Ace. You need to find out what Ace thinks she's in for. And you need to make it clear to Sadie that Chloe's just as important as you and Sadie in house decisions, because it's her home too. Ace will be with you temporarily, as long as she really is just getting back on her feet. She isn't the guest, but she's not a decision maker either. Sadie needs help dealing with whatever's going on in her head. Whether it's guilt, whether it's thinking that her family is more important than yours, whether it's thinking that having a baby means you're entitled to preferential treatment, whether she's trying to cope with her own past by giving Ace what she didn't get herself. But Sadie needs to deal with what is available before she destroys another family. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister she's too old to act like a teenager? My 17 male oldest sister is 37 female. Despite being almost 40, she often acts like she's still a teenager, lives with our parents, is unemployed, and has been living off their money since she dropped out of college after 1 semester. Spends her time hooking up with guys on Tinder and crying to me about being ghosted or led on, and getting drunk and coming home hangover. She even used a lot of TikTok lingo people my age use, like girl's girl. Altogether, it's a bit cringe. Pathetic? I realize that life happens at different paces for different people, but to me, being almost 40, never having worked a day in your life, and mooching off your parents for almost 20 years, and chasing after and crying about boys like you're a teenager, is just sad. Quite a few people by that age are settled and stable on their lives. And sure, life happens, but not even trying is just odd to me. The other day, she was telling me about how one of her friends wasn't a girl's girl because she slept with a guy my sister had an eye on and she feels depressed. This annoyed me, so I told her, "You're not 18. You haven't been 18 for almost 20 years. You're a grown woman at an age a lot of people have families and careers. Crying about a hookup, it's sad, and you're too old to be acting this way." She got angry and called me a judgmental a-hole. I do judge her, but I think it's a valid judgment. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Info. 17 male, 37 female, lives with our parents, is unemployed and has been living off their money since she dropped out of college after one semester. Does a little quick math. Are you sure that she's actually your sister? I doubt it's we're raising your mother as your sister situation, if that's what you're indicating. The timeline wouldn't match up unless I'm actually 2 years older than I think I am. Plus, we have other siblings closer in age to her that I don't think would keep that secret from me. How so? I'm a 37-year-old male with a 17-year-old son. It's not impossible to be 37 and have a 17-year-old. I think he's saying that she dropped out at 18 and not 20, meaning the timing of everything together doesn't match what he's been told. It's physically possible that 37-year-old could have a 17-year-old child if they had said child at 20. But if she dropped out of college at 18, then this wouldn't be the reason. Or OP doesn't know the true details. Not the a-hole. Unless she has some sort of disability, this is ridiculous. She does not, as far as I know. Perfectly able-bodied and actually quite smart. Just childish. Not the a-hole. Someone needs to tell her, especially if she is not disabled. Why are your parents allowing this? It's really an extreme age to be still at home and not working to help out at least. They had her very young and were too poor to spoil her when she was little, so they're probably making up for it now. If very young and poor, who knows what kind of trauma your sister endured as a result. Early childhood trauma is the leading cause of borderline personality disorder, and this post kinda screams it. Possibly, but she's an adult. She's had time to deal with her trauma if she has it. Instead, choosing to mooch off our parents in a way that f***s me over is up. Next story. Am I the a-hole for paying $21K to send my kid to private school behind my ex-wife's back? Our son is 8 and has an incredible curiosity about the world. His first and second grade teachers gave nothing but glowing praise in regards to both his intellectual growth and his demeanor. However, his third year has not gone well. His teacher has sent us several emails stating that our son does not pay attention in class and is cold towards his classmates. When his mother and I ask him how school is going, he tells us he hates it. He said, all the teacher does is yell at the class to stop talking, that the kids keep talking and we never do anything, and I hate being there. I can see the light fading from his eyes every day, and every Sunday night mid-September on he cries because he doesn't want to go to school. My son lives with his mother and spends weekends with me. We all live in the same town, and I would describe the relationship between his mother and I as cooperative, but bad feelings persist. I asked my son a few weeks ago if he wanted to change schools, and he responded, God, yes. I asked his mother if she would have any issue with me sending him to a highly regarded private school about 17 miles from our town, and she reacted in a way that was not expected. She said I was being ridiculous, and that it would be an undue burden to her to take him to a different school, which is fair, and it would be unfair to her other children if only one of her kids got to go to private school. I added that I would take him and drop him off every day and pay for it 100%, and she still said no. I told her I don't want our son to waste his potential, nor do I want to fail him as a father. In essence, she responded that our son is just being a brat because he's bored. I registered him at the school and paid the tuition. He starts in August. I told him what I had done, and he was elated. Naturally, upon hearing this news, his mother was apoplectic. All I said was, fine, you tell him he isn't going because you think he's a brat. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Info. Her other kids are not yours, right? Correct. Then not the a-hole. She's not a good mom if she's willing to hurt your son just in the name of fairness. Half siblings whose non-shared parents have different means get treated differently. That's just how life works. Besides, if your wife is currently with her other kid's father, then it's also not fair that your son has divorced parents while his siblings don't. Courts may not look favorably on you enrolling him without his mom's permission. I'm not sure, but I do think you might want to try for more custody. It really wouldn't surprise me if your son starts getting treated as the black sheep in that household, especially as time goes on and the siblings get older. Fair does not mean equal. I'm a teacher. The goal is that each child gets what they need. They don't all need the same thing. Kids don't get that, but their parents should. Last story. Am I the a-hole for kicking out my sister-in-law after she lost my son while babysitting? Over the past 3 months, my husband's sister has been staying with us until she got back on her feet. As part of her contribution to our household, she generously offered to babysit our kids, including our 3-year-old son with autism and with both delayed speech and language, without expecting any compensation. However, about 3 weeks ago while she was babysitting, our son managed to slip out of the front door without her awareness, wandering around for approximately half an hour before a concerned individual alerted the police. Rather than immediately notifying my husband and I about the situation, she spent an hour searching the neighborhood before involving law enforcement. We only became aware of our son's disappearance after she had already found out that the police had picked him up and safely returned him home. There's uncertainty regarding whether she would have informed us if the police had not explicitly instructed her to do so. In the aftermath, I asked her to leave our home. My husband believes that my decision to kick her out was overly severe, labeling it as an honest mistake that could happen to anyone. He also emphasizes her lack of alternative living arrangements, arguing that it was unjust to leave her without nowhere else to go. She put my son's safety at risk and broke my trust, and I can't get over that. But I can't shake what my husband said. Now I feel terrible about putting her on the street. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. An honest mistake initially, yes. Kids can be slippery little devils. The big mistake was not calling you. Spinning her wheels searching for an hour, then hearing the police thankfully had him. And when she was going to call you? Has she even apologized? Doesn't sound like it. She's staying with you to get back on her feet. So she's an adult. This isn't some 19-year-old being an idiot. She should have known better. And since she doesn't know, she cannot be relied upon and deserves banishment. Right. After 10 minutes of not being able to find him, I have a kid. They're definitely slippery. She should have called the parents. 15 minutes is all it took for my nephew to open the door stripped naked and get halfway down the block. Yes, he got naked outside. They added a chain after that since he had to undo 2 locks to get outside. Your son could have died. Also, many states make parents who lose their children take parenting classes, and have strikes against that can cause them to lose their children. This is a serious issue, and she should not be trusted with her child. OP not the a-hole. I would 1000% kick her out. Hard times or not. Your son could have been seriously injured or worse. Your husband is not taking it seriously enough.